Hello, my friends, I'm Brian. Please like and subscribe.
Let me tell you what happened to me when I was young. My dad was a stingy and rough person. As for my mom, she would fulfill every request I made since I was her eldest son. My dad owns a classic old-fashioned car. I tried on several occasions to drive it, but he always refused, claiming that I was still too young to drive. I got my driver's license a while ago and improved my skills with my cousin's car. What does that have to do with me? If you want to drive a car, work and buy one with your own sweat. But I don't have a job yet. Lend me some money and I'll pay you back. I don't trust you. I can't do that. He slammed the door and left. I turned to my mom and asked, "Can you help me?"
You're still studying. Leave the car matter until you graduate.
The university is far from home and the labs are far from the university. You know I need it urgently for my commutes.
If your dad agrees to help, he'll blame me for it.
My dad took a leave from work and went for a vacation abroad for some work. I asked my mom to give me the car keys and hide it from my dad. She brought them to me and said,
Take good care of it. He'll notice any changes. He's very observant.
Don't worry. I'll be extra cautious. I drove the car towards the university, feeling ecstatic. Finally, I would save time and conduct more research and experiments. My friends were amazed when I stopped next to them. Ben said, "Congratulations, Brian, on your new car." "It's not mine. It belongs to my dad." "How did you manage to take it from him? That's impressive." I took it without his permission. They laughed too and hopped in, and we continued driving. I used my dad's car for all my commutes. When I heard that he was coming back, I returned the car home and parked it in its designated spot. I handed the keys to my mom and said, "Make sure it's just like before." She checked it and said,
"Well done. There's no scratch on it. I returned it exactly as I gave it to you."
My dad returned home, and the first thing he asked about was his car. He went straight to it and examined it carefully. He asked me, "Did someone else drive it after me?" "But you don't allow that. I smell perfume inside."
I sprayed it when you told me he was coming back. I cleaned the house, lit incense, and also sprayed the car.
That's fine. But don't do it again. I didn't like the scent. I sighed in relief, saving my mom from his wrath.
I won't help you with your reckless actions anymore.
I know you can't refuse my requests. The days passed. We received a call from the hospital, informing us that my father had been in a car accident. We rushed towards it. When I entered, I found him sleeping. I waited by his bedside. After a few moments, he woke up and said, "Take the car keys and go immediately to the mechanic." "Relax, Dad. We'll deal with the car later." "No, my car comes first. Hurry up and don't mess with it." I got up and did as he commanded. I handed them to the mechanic and said, "Take good care of it. It's my dad's most valuable possession." My mother called me and said,
Come back to the hospital. Your father's condition has worsened.
I hung up and went to her. When I arrived, I asked, "What happened?"
His blood pressure suddenly rose and he fell into a coma. He's in the intensive care unit.
I asked the doctor, and he reassured me, saying, "Don't worry. His condition will stabilize after taking the medication." We left the hospital. My siblings were waiting for us at home. I reassured them and said Dad will be back soon. Let's pray for his speedy recovery.
And how about his car?
I laughed and said, "First, ask about our father's condition."
Well, if his car is fine, then he'll be fine. But if it gets a small scratch, he'll collapse.
He's right. He wouldn't spend a single penny of his money on his own treatment, but he would spend it all on his car without a second thought.
Enough of this talk. Go back to your studies. I packed my belongings and headed to university as I was about to take my exams. I asked my mother to call me in case something bad happened. I passed by the mechanic and asked, "Did you fix it? I'm almost done, just a few touch-ups left. Can I drive it in this condition?" "Yes, but be careful." I took the car and said to him, "I have exams and I really need it. I'll bring it back soon, all right?" I drove it calmly until I arrived and parked next to my friend Laura.
Congratulations, Brian. Be careful you didn't park it properly.
I blushed and her friends laughed from behind. "I haven't gotten out yet. I'm organizing my papers."
She teased. Shut up. Don't listen to their nonsense. Good luck with the exam.
I left, and for a moment I stayed inside until they disappeared. I headed to the examination hall, quickly answered the questions while worrying about the car. Maybe someone damaged it. I finished and passed by the cafeteria to get a juice. I found Laura sitting by the window with her friends. I bought the juice and sat at the table behind them. The waiter came and started flirting with them. They got angry and left for their car. The waiter followed them after throwing his apron and stuck his head out of his car window. Laura raised her voice, so I came out and said, "Stay away from her. Don't you hear what she's telling you?" He angrily backed off and made a quick call. Moments later, his friends arrived in a car and he joined them. Laura drove off and he followed her. I sensed trouble, so I chased after them. On the way, the waiter swerved to annoy Laura's car. I heard the girls scream, so I increased my speed and started bothering him. "You crazy person, what are you doing?" I said, "Leave her alone and mind your own business. Are you her guardian? Don't interfere, or I'll tear you apart." I instructed Laura to move forward as fast as she could, while I stayed back to obstruct the waiter. I heard the engine of my car, indicating that it might break down. I accelerated and cut across the road, then stopped. The waiter got angry and hit my car with his. I opened the door and jumped out. As for my father's car, it fell into the valley and exploded. I looked down and mourned it, then received a blow to my head. I turned around and found the waiter. We fought for a while until darkness fell upon us. I didn't wake up until I found myself in a hospital bed with my mother and Laura crying beside me. "What happened?"
Don't you remember? You saved me from that jerk.
"I remember. My father's car. It crashed at the end."
Forget about the car now and take care of yourself.
"How is my father?"
He's fine. He left the intensive care unit.
My father recovered and returned home. When I left the hospital, my father slapped me. He said, "Shame on you. Who allowed you to drive it?" "Wait, let me explain. I don't want an explanation. I want my car back immediately." Since then, my father has been angry with me. I graduated and got a job. Pay off the car loan before anything else. But it will take years to pay off the amount. I don't care about you. Laura heard about what happened to me, so she called me and suggested giving me her car to help my father. I appreciated her kind gesture, but I declined. Eventually, I proposed to her, and she accepted. It took us 3 years to get married because I was focused on paying off my father's debt,